Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the very special March edition of 100 Pictures of Honey. We are a monthly reading series, usually on the third Thursday of the month. Usually we feature 3 readers, each reading for 15 minutes from their work. But tonight we are featuring many more than 3 because we have this wonderful anthology, let me say this, to celebrate. So tonight's reading is all contributors to this anthology, which was edited by Dustin Brookshire and Julie Blomeke, 2 people who work tirelessly to not only do wonderful projects like this, but to promote other writers. Dustin runs a reading series. I know that Dustin's going to be editing another anthology, which maybe he'll tell you about. Just 2 of the kindest, most wonderful people around in the literary community. So it's such my pleasure to host this reading tonight, and my pleasure to be in the anthology with a poem as well. So I just wanted to tell you that this evening that usually I pay my readers for the series, but since there are so many readers tonight, in lieu of that, I will be donating what I usually pay my readers to Dolly's Imagination Library, and the link to Dolly's Imagination Library is in the chat. We would love to see anyone that's here tonight make that donation. Dustin and Julie are also donating all of their editorial royalties to this wonderful cause, and what another great way to honor such a wonderful woman as Dolly Parton, not only with a book, but with the support of the organization that she founded. And so tonight, I actually have the really easy job of just welcoming you. And now I'm going to turn it over to our editors, who are going to tell you all about this book and themselves, and then they're going to introduce our readers. So I'm not sure who's going first. Is it Dustin? Is it Julie? Take it away.
I'll jump in since you gave me the out to be able to drop in a link that I am editing a forms anthology with my mentor and dear friend, Beth Gillis. So poets, please check this out. If you write in form, please submit to the anthology, and I will shut up about that. So thank you for letting me do that, Donna. And thank you so much for making that donation. It's something that's extremely important to Julie that we share, is how much the Imagination Library means to Dolly, given her connection that her father was illiterate and was very proud of her and worked for the Imagination Library. I think some people may not know that, and worked for the organization to support that, and that no matter of anyone's economic status, to me, it's also really important for people who can't afford books to get them. But I do love that no matter of the economic status, children are getting those books if they're enrolled in the program until they start school. Because let's face it, some people just may not buy their books, kids, even if they have the money to do it. They're getting these books. And she said the most things she's proud of is being called the book lady. So thank you so much for making that donation. And if you're able to throw a little money that way, don't feel pressured to do so. But, if you have $5, $1, anything goes, please consider that organization. Especially the children in Tennessee really need books right now, everything that they have going on. They need that. Julie, I'll let you say a couple things.
I think you've pretty much covered it all. In case you all are wondering, I'm dialing in from Dustin's apartment because I've been apartment sitting for him this week when he's in California. So you're not imagining things with Dolly behind me. Like, wait a second, Dolly's usually behind Dustin. This doesn't make any sense. So but no, I think we're ready to jump in and get started.
Okay, I'm going to drop a link. So we have a link tree for the anthology. If you're curious about events, reviews, interviews, anything that you would like to know, we keep that updated. So please save that, subscribe. You'll get a notice when there is a change. We have a really exciting review that just came out thanks to Julie's hard work. And the Southern Literary Review that we're excited about that we've got to add to that link. So please check it out. It's a very fabulous review. I'm going to put the reading order and I'm going to say everyone's name, but when everybody is reading, they're going to tell you their name before they start. But we'll keep dropping the reading order in there, and everybody, you'll be able to see the page number. So if you have a copy of the book, I know I love opening the book and following along as someone is reading the poems. So we have the page numbers there for you. And I'm really excited. Well, let me say everybody's names first because I get so distracted because I just love Dolly so much and I have to keep reining myself in. But so tonight we have Denise Duhamel, Maureen Seaton, Julie Marie Wade, Dorianne Lux, Greg Shapiro, Carolyn Oliver, Donna Voyer, I don't know if you've heard of her. She's right there, right? Thank you for being here and hosting it, Donna. Nikki Beer, who congratulations. We have to say it again because everyone's here on her Lammy nomination. That is fabulous. Ray Hendricks, Jeffrey Perkins, Denise Duhamel, already said, sorry, I'm repeating because people have more than one poem. Rosemary Watala Traumer, Emma Bolden, and Terry Elam. So everyone will read. It's really exciting that Denise, Maureen, and Julie are reading their poem because we did a special issue of Limp Wrist in honor of Dolly's 75th birthday. And we were excited that they allowed us to include their poem in our introduction because we wanted to also sort of pay tribute to how this anthology started, which was through that special issue, which a lot of people are in. So with that, I'm going to shut my fucking mouth and let everybody get to it because that's why you're here, is to hear the poets and not me.
Hi, everybody. I'm Denise Duhamel, and I will be reading a collaborative poem with Maureen Seaton and Julie Marie Wade. I'm saying their names so they won't have to stop in the middle of the poem to say their name. It's called 75 Lines for Dolly's 75th, and we wrote this on the occasion of Dolly Parton's 75th birthday. And just for the poetry nerds in the audience, this is Tertzerima. Just saying. Here we go. 75 Lines for Dolly's 75th. It costs me lots of money to look this cheap. I've blown the budget on sequins before, but I made a vow, I'm not a sheep.
I am a shepherd writing songs galore. Once, 2 hit singles in a single day. Yup, that was a good night, I said, and swore.
Off Corona. Now I drink Beaujolais and run lines for the 9 to 5 sequel. I've got big dreams the boss can't take away.
Can't the man see we ladies are equal? I still carry a pistol in my purse, but my grin's sincere, my heart's peaceful.
As baby Jesus in that Bible verse. If I still had my many-colored coat, I'd wrap it tight around the world, rehearse.
As though the whole earth was my stage, then float freely home to those Appalachian hills, my beloved Smokies, where I co-wrote
Rainbow Land with Miley Cyrus. Her skills remind me of my own at 24, when I touted Avon and the cheap thrills.
Of cheap perfume traveling door to door. I wrote, you ask me not to wear cologne. I wrote 2 sides to every story.
with Porter before I went on my own. After, I wrote I Will Always Love You, which you know who, Elvis, hoped to co-own.
No way, I said. Elvis stuck to his blue Christmas fever and cold Kentucky rain, and in the end, I kept that platinum tune.
I have big hair and a big business brain. Long ago, I turned those busty blonde jokes on their busty blonde heads and broke the chain.
On my 10 speed as I sped away, spokes spinning like the 8 tracks of my first songs. Then came my parade of wigs and dumb pokes.
About my accent. Producers prolonged my dependence on them. It took me years. In fact, it almost took my life. What's wrong?
With Romeos, songs that gave me my career, or hit duets like Islands in the Stream. We relied on each other, steered
Me to fame. Then Lily's and Jane's scheme to make a women in the workplace film exploded in solidarity and team
Play. The theme song was an anthem, a hymn homage to heel clicks and typewriter keys, a companion piece for Abzug and Steinem.
and all those sick of saying pretty please. I've never called myself a feminist, but I'll wear it if it means equality.
for cowgirls, nurses, and receptionists. I'm a Christian ally, no conflict there, but I won't claim I'm fundamentalist.
On any subject except footwear. I once dubbed myself a backwards Barbie, and I'm okay with that. I'm debonair.
On the inside, there's a yang you can't see alongside my ultra bedazzled yin, where there's a jolt and an epiphany.
My ladylike boots are made of buckskin. A cowboy in tight jeans might turn my head, grab me to dance at Dollywood. Even
So Carl's the only one who'll share my bed. What's the secret to our 54 years? Well, you've got to know when to hold 'em.
like Kenny says. But we're all amateurs, I've learned, and ama is the root of love. All those Tennessean hoots and hollers.
My dark roots, split ends, push-up bras out of style, second chances as snips and tucks. Everyone knows I'm neither blonde nor dumb.
You say you like my pipes. I say, aw shucks.
I sing what I feel, and I feel it deep.
My joie de vivre, puissance, and what the fucks.
Oh my God, that was so amazing. And to read it on the page, I'm sure it's just seamless. You know, you have no idea when one voice stops and the other starts, you know, but hearing it, you can see talk about imagination, right? You know, how you fed off each other. That's just beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me. I don't have my copy of Dolly's book because I gave it to Jeff Walt, who runs the Desert Rat Residency in Palm Desert, to put in his own personal imagination library, because poets come there all the time to do residencies, and I figure now they'll have a copy of Dolly. So I have two poems in the anthology, and the first one I think is the Dolly's Breasts poem on page 5. And so I'll begin at the beginning for Dolly. Dolly's Breasts. Dolly's breasts are singing from the rafters of her chest, swaying beneath sheeny satin, suspended in the choreography of her bra. Twin albino dolphins breaching from her ball gown's rhinestone cleavage. Her breasts are sisters, praying at twilight, a pair of fat-cheeked Baptists dreaming of peaches. Her nipples the color of autumn, two lonely amber eyes. When she shakes her metallic bodice, tinsel swimming up her pink fonts of nourishment, the spotlight hums and shimmies with them, the audience open-mouthed, stunned into silence as she crosses her legs and bows, her hair hanging down, a permed curl caught in that soft, improbable seam. That is an improbable seam, isn't it? And then I wrote this one much later for Dustin specifically, who could see from my first poem that I love Dolly. And this one is based on what we just heard from Denise and Maureen and who else was it? I can't see, but the three of you just read, you know, which was the thing about Dolly saying no to Elvis when he wanted to sing her song. And I just love that she said no to Elvis. And it was because she wanted to leave that song to her family, her poor family, and for them to have those royalties. But later they wanted to use it for the big movie with Whitney Houston. And she said that was okay because it didn't involve her royalties, you know. And I have to say, what's his name? Who was her co-star? Kevin, you know, whatever his name is. And he was the one who insisted that she sing the a cappella, that she do it with, you know, and he loved that song and he thought she should do it. So the very first time Dolly heard it, she was in her car listening to the car radio and it came on, and she pulled over to the side of the road and said, "Oh my God, look what Whitney did. She made my song a mighty thing. I will always love you." And this is a quote from Dolly, who says, "Make them laugh a little, make them cry a little, scare the shit out of them, and go home." And that's my mantra for poetry readings too. Dolly said no to Elvis and waited for Whitney. She didn't know she was waiting. She just kept writing and singing. Elvis wanted to cover it, and Dolly was thrilled, but he also wanted a share of the publishing rights. Dolly said no and cried all night, loving Elvis of the swiveling hips and flop of dark hair, his high baritone voice that could cover 2 octaves and a third. Nothing like her light, bright soprano. Dolly, never to be outdone, could cover 5. Beat that, Mr. Pelvis. But like any king, he wanted his gold, and Dolly, a poor girl with a big family, wanted to leave her songs to them. And she didn't know she was waiting for Kevin Costner, who suggested Whitney sing it for The Bodyguard, insisted on the a cappella intro. When Dolly first heard it, she pulled off the road, turned up the radio, marveled at how Whitney took her simple song and made it a mighty thing. Beautiful Whitney, who also covered 5 octaves with her perfect vibrato. And though Elvis and Whitney died early, Dolly lives on, her voice unchanged by age, lilting across the stage at 74, her life far from over, still singing and singing and singing, a mighty little thing. Thank you.
Hi, y'all. I'm Greg Shapiro. I think I'm Greg Shapiro. Yeah, I'm Greg Shapiro. Thanks so much to Dustin and Julie and all these amazing celebutantes that I get to read with. It's very cool. So this is Spirit of 76. 76 trombones aren't pert near enough brass instruments to celebrate Dolly's 76th birthday. Not even if they were led in formation by Professor Harold Hill himself, draped in a coat of many colors. Everybody knows what happens when you hitch your star to a Porter Wagoner, when a so-called dumb blonde shines like the sun, but so much brighter, and she's the star of the show. What choice did Dolly have but to soar like an angel, like an eagle, transcending Nashville and Motown, Hollywood and Broadway, Greenwich Village and Laurel Canyon, earthbound, honky-tonk angel with her eyes on the sparrow, fingers on the frets of a blue guitar, and enough wigs to make every RuPaul's Drag Race queen green with envy, arriving in a white limousine to save the world with a trunk full of vaccines, an abundance of books to fill the shelves of the library of your kid dreams, reassuring anyone with an earshot that she will always love us. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Carolyn Oliver. Thank you so much, Dustin and Julie. It's such an honor to be here. And thank you so much, Donna, for hosting. It's a pleasure. This poem is, I overhear a boy humming Jolene while he practices long division. And sudden as a train's blue note, I know I don't deserve it. Dolly Parton becomes the president. The West Wing's garlanded in rhinestones, fringed in bushels of Tennessee River pearls, while ambassadors wait on their whiskeys, because Dolly's out in the rose garden, serenading troublemaker nuns and poll workers, sunbathing marchers who need a rest. And later, there'll be weddings on the portico, while sparrows feast on cornmeal flung by drag queens shimmering in always golden hour light. In research labs, they're whistling, they're twirling their pipettes because there's banana pudding in the fridge, and they know Dolly's working too. Today, she's sending picture books and wheelchairs and antiretrovirals all across the heartland and into every city. Today, she's unraveling acres of lace to wrap up every shivering mother. Today, she's going to call us darling, and we will believe, really believe, that we are cherished. And no, not even the miracle of Dolly can sway the wildfires. Not even her limpid soprano can dredge all rivers. But let me tell you, since Dolly Parton became the president, strawberries taste right again, and they're ripe all year long.
I love that ending, Carolyn. Love the ending of that poem so much. My poem began when Dolly initially refused her nomination to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Very humbly saying, I'm not a rock and roller, it's not an honor I deserve. She luckily changed her mind and was inducted. And if you haven't seen her performance at that induction ceremony, find it and watch it. She even wrote a new song for it because of course she did. But this poem was written before she changed her mind, and it's called Dolly Refuses the Nomination. There are no rules for rock and roll. No one to say that her rhinestone repertoire, honed through years and sweat, is not a proper definition. Having crooned and burned and stepped out from shadows that only women see, she knows that melody and lyric, no matter the backbeat, can rock the senses and roll the stone from the tomb. 76 years behind her, flooding the Opry with angelic trills and plaintive ballads, and you want to honor her now for being a rocker? She is so many things: glamour and glory, backwoods and banter, storyteller and songbird, magnolia blooming from little pigeon roots. She will not give herself this new label. Those songs swim in her dreams and wake in her fingers. Music, her heartbeat, a small fist in her chest, shaking a tambourine.
Hi, folks. I am very honored to be here, and I want to thank Dustin and Julie so much for having me in this anthology. It is such an honor, and it is such an honor to be alongside so many writers I admire, both in the anthology and at this reading tonight. So the poem I'm going to read is called Drag Day at Dollywood. But before I read that, I want to acknowledge, as of exactly 2 weeks ago, public drag shows were effectively criminalized in the state of Tennessee. So basically everything that happens in this poem is now a crime. And I just, want to point out that this is part of a larger onslaught of anti-drag and anti-trans legislation that is plaguing the country right now. And to just ask everyone present or anyone who is listening to this recording to please devote whatever time, attention, and money you can to combating these nefarious political machinations that are terrorizing so many queer folks. So the poem I'm going to read starts off with a epigraph from the lady herself about her drag impersonators. She says, "Some of them look more like me than I do." There's also some audience participation. I know you're muted, but do it anyway, and you'll know it when you hear it. Drag Day at Dollywood. Blue beehives whirl and loopily ascend long paper wands. Candied apples smash into shades of vixen, strike me pink, cherries in the snow. Lame by the square mile ripples under the Tennessee sun. From a distance, the mountain sidewinder looks like a drunk, bejeweled caterpillar. The screams sound the same as on any other day. By closing time, 782 press-on nails will have been lost. A few contrarians bust out their best patsies or Lorettas, dark bouffants stippling the deluge of blonde. Someone's great aunt comes as Kenny Rogers and strokes her beard like a newly adopted lapdog. A bus from Atlanta unleashes 24 dollies in matching bowling jackets, gutter queens sprawled across their backs in lilac script. To relieve the boredom at the Mystery Mine line, someone hollers, "When I say homo, you say sapiens. Homo, sapiens, homo, sapiens." Dollies line the perimeter of the bald eagle sanctuary, watching the raptors swoop stoically on the other side of the netted enclosure. "They mate for life," Dolly exclaims, reading from Wikipedia on her phone. "Aw," Dolly says. "Ugh," says Dolly. A tall Dolly gives a short Dolly a piggyback ride through Jukebox Junction, making a laughing, lumbering chimera of polysatin and fringe. Dolly holds back Dolly's hair as she vomits purple slush and kettle corn into a bank of azaleas. Dolly, with weary patience, explains to Dolly why she can't pet her service dog. Dollies grasp turkey legs in their fists, tear flesh from bone. Thousands of pairs of Dolly lungs breathe in gasoline and grease, breathe out glitter. Dolly visits the restroom to check her wig and loses track of herself in the mirrors. Dolly drifts along an automated river, an undiagnosed tumor humming gently under her life jacket. Dolly holds a thumb and forefinger up to the setting sun, pinches it, and lovingly places it in Dolly's back pocket. Dolly, exhausted and sunburned, collapses onto a bench, rests her head on Dolly's breast, who rests her head on Dolly's breast, who rests her head on Dolly's breast, on Dolly's breast.
Very precariously balanced. I'm kind of working with a lot of things here. Fuck the Tennessee drag bands. I'm gonna start with that because fuck that. I'm a Southerner. I'm from Alabama, and it's really, drag was like my haven. And I feel like Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee already, but it's all next. So we're just kind of watching in horror as Southerners. But I'm gonna read one poem. I'll just be quick. It's called Eugene, Oregon, Homesick, and it's after Dolly's, or Eugene, Oregon / Homesick, I should say. It's after Dolly's song called Eugene, Oregon, and I just really identify with it as someone who, like Dolly, is a Southerner and then is actually currently living in Eugene, Oregon. So it's just that's the tie in there. So I will just go for it without further ado. I know someone earlier said they don't have their anthology anymore. Neither do I. It's somewhere or I do, but it's like it's lost somewhere in a pile of books here. So as one does when you're a writer. Anyway, this is Eugene, Oregon, Homesick. The year bleeding its dark half backwards into summer. Autumn sweeping in like ink fanning clear water, morning suddenly cold against the glass. Something unfamiliar sticking to the trees. Dew, sap, day slips into a small handful of illuminated hours. No lightning bugs to pepper night with living stars. No stars, hardly even a moon, the sky blanched by the city's bright haze. No cicadas. No choir of insects to sing me to sleep. Nothing like home, Alabama, its wet heat like the soft breath after a kiss. But Dolly said the people here were kind, so kind she wrote a song about them. And I want to believe her. I want to love this place. I don't think Dolly would lie. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Dustin and Julie, and thank you, Donna, for having us here. So amazing to be in all this Dolly love. I'm going to read 2 poems from the anthology. The first is called Nashville. Sometimes I wonder what it might feel like to live just outside town in a house where folks keep night up too late, and I'd write you a song and lay out our lives in chorus and verse, call up our living in a simple way. But I've never picked up a guitar, never felt its smooth neck in my arms, or felt the tension go out of its strings like the slow chill of a summer's end. I've heard it's having a revival, resting on its wide river, and it's time to go. Sometimes I think how it might be to buy that spot out of town with the money I saved. Anyone could stay the night, and you'd look over one night like Dolly's song I sing inside, imagining I wrote it for you. Take me back to where we started from. And then the second poem is called San Fernando. Here you come again in the slightest swimsuit you could find, flexing and sunning your body in the light like there's no care in the world. And I can feel your glow 3,000 miles away. Like an earthquake in San Fernando earlier today, just enough to move someone's day. They say the big one is on its way. We're living in the shadow of something we can't see coming. You're swimming in a pool, taking selfies at an evening's end, looking better than a body has a right to. And I'm here watching your future memories, imagining what comes after night falls. And there was an earthquake in San Fernando earlier today, just enough to move someone's day. They say the big one's on its way. We're living in the shadow of something we can't see coming. All you got to do is smile that smile, and there goes all my defenses. The last photo in the house of you, dressed up and nowhere to go. You look ready for an opening you can't see coming. Here you come again, just enough to move my day. The big one is on its way, so I'm living in the shadow of something I can't see coming, shaking me up just when I'm about to make it work without you. Thanks.
This is so much fun. It's really fabulous. This poem is called Dolly Parton as Sonnet. You're drawn in by her golden hair and bust, her physical structure, her 3-octave soprano sass, glitter, and angel dust. So crafted, you're in the Jungian cave before you know it. Dolly as warrior, as goddess, as mannequin sprung to life. Your fairy godmother, the courier bringing the news, it'll turn out all right. She twists the volta of her child-free hips, her artifice genuine as a poem crafted to hold the sublime as it dips into our collective unconscious, home to rainbows, banjos, blue eyeshadow, sweet beat, couplet of her tiny tapping feet.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm more in love with Dolly and actually more in love with every single one of you as this reading goes on too. I used to work with a group called Parents as Teachers, and we helped distribute Dolly's books. And I got the chance to see kids who had Dolly's books from when they were born for 5 years. Incredible. She's such an inspiration. Oh, I'm such a goofball. I cry all the time. To be generous, but also glamorous, which is not my, that's not my norm. This is making breakfast with Dolly. Tonight, I read how Dolly Parton always wears high heel shoes in her kitchen. Don't you? She asks. I don't. I wear old brown wool slippers with orthotics. I try to imagine myself strutting into the kitchen before the kids go to school, making smoothies and scrambled eggs in my yoga pants and my long gray sweatshirt and my 4-inch stilettos. Click, click, click go the heels as I teeter toward the teacups. Click, click, click as I parade with paper towels to the place where the cat has retched. Oh, Dolly, as I slip into these high heel thoughts, I thank you for dressing up the day. These glammed up ideas, two-step and sashay through the morning shores. Well, meanwhile, my slippered self marvels at the fun, but shrugs. I'm just so darn grateful for arch support and rubber soles that ground me as I sweep up the crumbs, as I wipe the counters clean. Grateful that when the high heel thoughts start to sing, working 9 to 5, oh damn, can they sing? Well, they invite me to sing along.
Hi, everyone. I'm having a great time. I'm so happy that we're doing this. Thank you for including me in this book, Dustin and Julie and Donna for hosting us, and for letting me read with Denise and Maureen tonight. That was really special. I'm going to read a prose poem that I wrote For my partner, it's a fantasy. Didn't really happen this way, but I wish it did. In the dream, Dolly offers to officiate for Angie. Mid-autumn, Smoky Mountains. Here in the land she and my love are from. Here on the day we thought would never come. Yellow birch, black cherry, northern red oak, our rainbow. And long ago, before the blight, American chestnut everywhere. I dream them back in. I dream us beneath them. Once this land was only a postcard to me. Bonnie flew to Dollywood from the West Coast and wrote, "Guess where I am?" Exclamation mark, not question mark, because we already knew. On my placemat, the state was copper, like a penny, and longer than you'd think it would be, until I drove it, Memphis to Knoxville, Memphis to Chattanooga, the droll hours with my love beside me, listening to Dolly, of course, Islands in the Stream, Jolene, I Will Always Love You, that one twice, 3 times, Dolly, Whitney, then Dolly again. We have lived through the blight, the long ban. Now we stand in the shadow of the bright trees as a spangled woman walks toward us, humming. The leaves in her hair golden and cordate, her hands extended, the sparkling nails. Guess what we're here to celebrate? Exclamation mark, not question mark, because we already knew.
Hi, everybody. I'm Emma Bolden. This is amazing. This is just such a great reading, and I'm just really, really happy to be here. Thank you to Dustin and Julie for including me in this anthology. Thank you for Donna for hosting. Thank you to Dolly for being a saint. This is a poem that is about the time when I was starting to figure out that I was asexual. Asexual Ode to Dolly Parton. That summer, I listened to Jolene 6 times every time I got in the car, and I sang along hard enough to believe it, that it was as simple as there always being an other, waiting, flame-haired, spring-breathed, to take whatever man whenever I wanted to mine him. As if the problem wasn't my longing, lack thereof. And there was so much longing locked into Dolly's looping curls. I thought if I loud sang enough, hard listened enough, I could learn it. How to woman myself the way everyone wanted me to. Oh, Dolly, patron saint of shoulder fringe and sequins, high priestess of Lee press-ons and hairspray, how long your longing held me, summer voiced, soft enough to show me how every kind of love's a force that sends you to your knees, begging, even if I couldn't love again in a way I could make any other understand.
That was lovely. My name is Terry Elam, and again, thanks Dustin, Julie, for including me in this anthology, and thanks Donna for hosting us today. And my poem is called A Dolly Parton Kind of Love, and it's based on my childhood. On the weekends when my mother would have us in the kitchen, straightening our hair, and she might be cooking, and the hot comb is on the stove. We had a little black and white TV, and then a little color TV advanced. And Dolly Parton was one of the shows that would come on, other than Hee Haw and Lawrence Welk. But I just, I felt like she was very much a part of my childhood. So I'm especially appreciative to read this poem today because today is my mother's birthday. She turned 95 today, and I got a chance to see her. She has dementia, so she's in a memory care facility, but I got a chance to see her, and she had a great birthday. So I'll dedicate this to her today. A Dolly Parton kind of love. In this green and yellow kitchen lived this family soul, home. Fish fried Fridays, Mrs. Buttersworth Saturdays, between its chants, oh mighty Isis and Soul Train. Beans snapped, collards rolled and chopped, simmering. Its sweet peppery pot liquor, their moonshine. Near nightfall, when the sisters' nappy, unfettered hair would be reimagined for church the next day, kitchen now smoking, hot comb on the stove, radio blasting the Ohio Players' roller coaster of love. Say what? This, before you grew up, met the one that got her way, then got away. Your soul trying not to become the Jonah to her whale, when all you needed was that Dolly Parton kind of love. She'd warble through the tiny TV in that kitchen on her push-up pink parasoled walk to a swing hanging from a cloud wrapping. I hope life treats you kind, and I hope you have all you dreamed of. Her voice, peppermint stick goodness to your elementary school ears, eyes, and heart. Back when you first felt butterflies flutter, a feeling you didn't know what was then, but you've chased with a net ever since. Thank you.
And I hope this is okay. And Linda, don't feel pressure, but I'm going to put you on the spot. Would you like to read since you're here tonight and you're in the anthology? You can say no.
Thank you. I'll be glad to do it.
Thank you for indulging that. We really appreciate it. And after Linda reads, we have a few exciting announcements. So I hope you'll hang on. Don't jump right off, because if there's also a few minutes, Donna said we could do a little Q&A. So hang on for some fun, y'all.
This is entitled Dolly's Debut. My mother would pop the corn we had grown in the garden, reward for our summer thumbs, sore after shelling, separating pearl-like kernels from cob. Daddy would bring home a six-pack of grapette, glass bottles rattling inside the cardboard carrier. These nights we splurged, split 2 bottles 4 ways, then clustered around the television set, a nearly new Zenith color console. Christmas surprise my parents paid out on time. That September Tuesday night, we were prepping for the Porter Wagner show, my father's favorite, although he still mourned the leaving of Norma Jean as if she were dead instead of quitting to marry. At 12, I rolled my eyes at Speck Roads, the Wagon Masters, the corny barn backdrop, the flashy suits, the pompadours. But that night in '67, when Porter introduced the little gal named Dolly Parton, clad in her sleeveless red dress with garnet brooch, sporting a platinum bouffant, I sat up straight as she flashed her dimples and began to wail dumb blonde. Still buck-toothed, pudgy, my braids as lifeless as sunning black snakes, I dreamt of being her, believed that a plain girl from the Ozark foothills could be remade into a star, a nova, if only she believed. Thank you.
Thank you all. This was amazing. I mean, I had read your poems, but to hear them read is really incredible. So before we maybe do a little Q&A, I think I have, and I'm going to read names just in case I missed anybody. I think I have everyone written down who is not a contributor to the anthology. So I'm just going to say your names, because what we're going to do is we're going to pull 2 of your names that will receive a copy of the anthology, courtesy of Dustin and Julie. So I have these names as people who are not part of the anthology: Janice, Laura, Paula, Rebecca, Freesia, Elisa. Hold on, doubled up there. Jennifer, Cecilia, Brooke, Angie, Andrew, and wait, there was one more. Denise. Did I miss anybody? If you are not a contributor and I missed your name, speak up. Okay, so that is 12 people. So while Dustin maybe sees if there are any questions, I'm going to quick do a random number generator on my phone to pick 2 winners. So Dustin, why don't you see if there are any questions?
And yeah, before we jump in the Q&A, Julie and I have a couple of events we'd like to tell you about. I'm going to take one because it's very special to me, because one of my favorite Dolly concerts is actually Dolly live in London, 1983. Go 83, year I was born. Had it on DVD. It's a fabulous, fabulous concert. And we're going virtually to London on 4/5. Small world, it turns out James Reeves, who did a fabulous review of the anthology, is a student of Stephen Roger Powers, a former student who's in the anthology. And if you know Stephen, he's a mega Dolly fan as well and has a book of Dolly poems. And I'm like, did he pass on his Dolly love to his student who is writing? He's doing his PhD and he is focusing on Dolly in his work. So because of him, we're going virtually. So I'm just excited. I'm gonna be a Ramba girl because I'm gonna give you a hint. We may start off with that video for the reading because it's the most fabulous re-entry after a costume change that anyone has ever done. No one will ever top coming back into Ramba girl. So we'll be sharing that information, and there will be a lot of us reading. It will probably be the only time that it's a reading that is very duplicative, because we're going to have everybody that wants to read. We're going to pack everyone in for that event, because how cool is it for us to do that and in tribute to Dolly having that concert. So I will shut up and let Julie tell you about a couple other things.
Okay, so Dustin, I might need you to confirm a few things for me. I've been working on an event for National Poetry Month, and I've been caught up in all of the details and logistics of that. So I'm like having to switch gears back to Dolly. The next in-person event that we have coming up is in Nashville for Dolly Day in Tennessee. Let's hope that things are better in Tennessee by the time that this rolls around, please. What is the exact date, Dustin? It's the 5th of August. Yeah. And then it is at remind me the hotel again.
The Graduate.
The Graduate, right, exactly. So we'll be having a reading, and then also at the top of the Graduate is the White Limousine Bar. So we will be having the reading and then celebration afterwards. So if you can get to Nashville, please get to Nashville and we can celebrate Dolly in person. And then the next one may seem like a long ways away, but we're already at March, almost April. Next January 19th, 2024, we are celebrating the 1-year anniversary of the anthology. And that will be, Dustin?
At the Betsy, which is a fabulous hotel, great supporter of the arts and poetry. And it was amazing that they were just an immediate yes on letting us have a 1-year celebration, which also is Dolly's birthday. So we'll say happy birthday, Dolly, and celebrate 1 year of the anthology,
and that's Miami, correct?
Miami, yes.
Miami. So book your rooms now. I have a couch, so the first person that wants my couch in Fort Lauderdale can have it, as long as you like cats. Happy
it's
to
very comfortable, I can attest.
Okay, so I wanted to show everybody. So I wrote people's names down with numbers, and I'm gonna random number generate 2 numbers right now. Here we go.
Okay.
All right, so our winners are number 4 and number 12. There's the 2 numbers. So number 4 is Frisia McKee.
Woohoo!
And number 12 is Denise. I'm going to probably not say your last name correctly. Gaksteady. Gakstetter. Okay, looks like another E in there. Congratulations. And so Dustin and Julie, how do you want to handle getting their information?
I'll put our email address is letmethisaythisanthology@gmail.com.
Okay,
If you email your address, we'll mail you the books.
I'll put that in there.
And if you're interested in having us write a note in them, because Julie is at my apartment with books, she will be signing it. And when I get back to my apartment, I will sign it and we'll put it in the mail if you don't mind that little bit of a delay.
Congratulations. Did anybody have any questions? Otherwise, I am going to stop the recording. So any questions before this has been such a great, wonderful event.
And your questions, if you have a question to someone that read, it could be specific to them. It doesn't have to be, to Julie or us in Anthology, but we love fielding Dolly questions.
I was going to say, it sounds like a lot of your Dolly poems our poets wrote in form. So maybe they also have work for your other anthology. So if you want to drop that link again, that would be great.
Yeah, we're excited. We tell people, I'm like, you can use this in a classroom. We have a villanelle, we have a ghazal, we have a sonnet, like it's all in there. Prose poem, we call it the broken golden shovel that is in there.
Okay, so that's the link. If you write in form at all, you can send your poems to Dustin and Beth, and I think you have directions about putting the form that you're writing in your submission subject line. Also, don't forget that if you are so inclined, please donate to Dolly's Imagination Library to get books to as many kids as possible. It doesn't seem like we have any questions, so I am going to stop the recording, but you can feel free to hang around and say hello to people. Thank you so much for coming. I'm so pleased that I got to host one of these events, and I'm very excited about the one in April. So I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you again so much. Next month is National Poetry Month. Our reading will be April 20th, and we're going to have Tara Betts, Jared Beloff, Michael Garrigan, and very special Poetry Month guest, Patricia Smith, who was just on Dustin's reading series. So if you missed her on Dustin's, please join us on April 20th. Thank you again for coming. And this recording will be up on YouTube later this evening or tomorrow morning. So if you have any friends who couldn't make it, I'll be sharing that link on social media. Thank you all so much for being here.